everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Noor and thank you so much for joining me in another video. So we come to the last episode of Books of Change. We have been through like 10 weeks of Books of Change talking about so many kinds of topics, and now we're on to our last topic. And if you're wondering what is Books of Change is a video series that I collaborated with Clara, and every week we will be talking about a book that had changed or impacted our lives. As usual, I will put everything down below. I will put our playlist, I'll put Clara's channel so you can check out her channel and subscribe, and you can also watch our playlist whenever you're free. So again, I am in yellow background, which means I am in my dining room having coffee right over here. So for today's theme, it will be about writing, and quite honestly, I do not write a lot of stories. I generally don't do that very often, maybe once or twice, but I do write a lot of poetry, and I don't write poetry every single time. It's more when I have a certain emotion, that's when I want to pour it out into poetry form. And I love to go back to poetry because that is where I pour my emotions and my feelings in, and that's when I kind of relate my feelings to words. I like to write a lot of poetry depending on how I feel. Whenever I feel something, I feel a lot more acquainted with words as compared to when I do not have that emotion and I write poetry. Yeah, so whenever I have an emotion, whenever I'm feeling sad or ecstatic or happy or joy, it's kind of like the door just opens and I have to write poetry, and when I write, it feels so much better. I remember I started writing poetry when I was in secondary 1. That's when my vocabulary is a lot better and I learned literature. So we are introduced to a lot of formats of poetry, to a lot of prose. Although I am not so good at it, although I don't really learn in depth about it, I still do enjoy writing poetry, and from time to time I like to write something and experiment with my own kind of poetry. So for today, I would talk about 2 poets that I usually go to whenever I want to find inspiration, and they are usually the ones that I just like to go to and read whenever I like it. So the first one is Rumi. Rumi is a Persian poet, and he is also a scholar. He writes a lot of beautifully written poetry. I like his poetry because there's always meaning behind it. I feel like I could relate so much with his poetry, and I feel like there is so much that I could learn from his poetry. Whenever I feel like I want to get inspiration or some light reading, I would definitely go to Rumi and I would definitely read all his poetry. He writes such beautiful poems, and I highly recommend you guys checking out his poetry. I will just read to you one of his poems. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. This is one of the poems that I really like from him. The second one is Lang Biev, and if you don't know her, she is quite famous in YouTube actually, and I believe she lives in Australia. I came across her through Tumblr, and she has her own Tumblr page and she likes to put on her poetry there, and that's when I came across her poetry. I find it very fascinating. I really love her poetry. I just love the way she writes. She wrote a couple of books. One is Love and Misadventure, that's her first book, and the second one is Lullabies, if I am not wrong. I really love her poetry, so you guys should check that out too. There are a lot of other poets out there which I have yet to explore, and right now I am trying my best to go out there and explore more poetry and to experiment with my own poetry and to get inspiration and see how much I can put all that inspiration into my poetry. So now I'm going to share with you one of my poems that I wrote by myself. It's called Be Patient. If you are sad, be patient. There will always be a rainbow after a rainstorm. If you are hurt, be patient. The hardest obstacles are for those with the strongest heart. If you are lost or confused, be patient. The mist will clear and the road will appear. If you are angry, be patient. Anger only clouds your mind and makes you do impulsive choices. If you feel defeated, be patient. You are gaining every single time, even when life doesn't go your way. All in all, and up or down, be patient. Patience is virtue, and it is also half the battle won. Be patient, my dear, be patient. So that is my poem that I wrote. I hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. Yep, so that is all for today's episode. Either way, share with me in the comments down below if you write any stories, if you do any writing, or if you write any poetry. Next week we will have a very special video that is got to do with Books of Change, and it will probably be a tag video, so stay tuned for that. So thumbs up this video if you really enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel for more book related content from me. Until then, I will see you guys in my next video. Chill out. She's so naughty. See? Look at her. Hey. Why? You wanna go out? You can't go out, you're sick. She wants to go out. She's not allowed to go out because she is sick. She is sick and she's not supposed to go out.